This conference will now be recorded.
Time being 4:45, I'd like to call the meeting of February 3rd, 2022 to order. Let the record show that Chairman Pyra is on his way and Selectman Scanlon is also on his way. Before we get started, if you are joining us virtually, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. You all join us and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the minutes of January 20th for review. Hope everybody's read them.
I didn't notice anything.
I just had one small thing, but go ahead. Scott, do you have anything?
I didn't see anything when I reviewed it.
YouTube. On page 4 or 6, under Selectman Constantino, the last sentence, the Community Service Award presented this year. She has a candidate that it sounds like that I just presented it and that's it. Boom, done. It's really a nomination, not a candidate, you know.
So she suggested a nomination?
Yeah, that's more, because we remember we all wrote something down on a piece of paper. It's a disadvantage to Gail because it was all done on paper rather than verbiage.
A motion to accept the meeting minutes from January 20th, 2022 as amended.
Jessamine, second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have two donations. Make a motion to accept the following donations: a $10 donation from Edwin and Sandra Cartier to the Tilton Senior Center, and a $300 donation from James Johnston Jr. to the Tilton Senior Center. There's a second.
Second.
Thank you very much, Edwin and Sandra Trotter and James Johnston. Those will go to some really good use. Thank you.
You need to vote. I don't think you voted. Did they vote?
No, we did not vote.
All those in favor of the motion to accept the donations?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Jeannie. At this time, we are going into a non-public session. I'd like to make a motion to enter into non-public for RSA 91(8)(3), Roman numeral 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
Jessamine, second.
A motion has been made and second. Roll call vote.
Ruggles, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Just gonna vote.
This conference will now be recorded.
We don't need to deal with minutes because we didn't make a decision. We don't need to see it. Just in case. Make a motion. seal the minutes of the public.
Ruggles second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And next on our agenda is Kevin, he's not here. We can take the selectmen's report, go ahead with that if we continue down the line. So,
Maybe here.
Maybe Eric Myra or Kevin.
I think only Eric could walk by a non-public meeting, so.
That is true.
oh, Kevin.
Or not, I stand corrected.
Kevin walked past the non-public.
You walk right past the non-public sign?
Well,
huh?
because
Oh,
I-
because you, I'm just, come on up.
Hi,
Hi.
Good evening, Mr. DePaul.
it's been a minute since I've been here.
Oh, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. These things here. So we'll be talking about transfer station stuff. Last year, we implemented some new pricing. This year, I'd like to try to go forward with our dump sticker and possibly our coupon system. I put together some information for you guys to review, and maybe let's keep this going forward.
Thank you.
I'll put one down for Eric. Be here. He's been having a grand old time in Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
Do you have an extra one?
Next one, I can
Oh,
speak
no,
off of
no,
memory for Tim.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's all good. Been thinking about this stuff for a while, so it's still all up here. So my thoughts are to stop handling cash money at the transfer station.
It's him like that.
Yes. And in doing so, I think the coupon program would benefit us tremendously because we can do away with our amnesty weeks by giving out a certain amount of free coupons to residents that they could use throughout the year. They don't have to use it in two specific times of the year. And it still gives people the ability to throw away trash or the stuff that we charge for, but it also helps us to kind of keep it under control. Because if somebody, like, let's say somebody knows that they have a air conditioner to throw away, they know that it's from our price sheet, it costs $25 to throw it away. So they go to town hall and they purchase a $25 coupon that they now can take to the transfer station. If somebody knows that they have a project coming up and they're going to generate a pickup truck full of demo or wood waste, that's $65 a cubic yard. They can go to the town hall, purchase the amount of coupons that they need, bring it to the transfer station, and then the attendant confirms, okay, yes, it is a full truckload. This is going to cost $65 or whatever the cost is. If they don't have enough coupons, and the attendant lets them know that it's going to actually cost more, they have to go back to town hall and purchase more coupons. It's kind of like buying stamps at the post office. You know, if you're sending one envelope or one letter, it's going to cost you one stamp. If you're sending a big envelope, you're not really sure how much it's going to cost. You can go to the transfer station, figure out how much it's going to cost. You go to the town hall and you purchase the coupons you need.
So if somebody had a truckload of demo that they were doing a project on a weekend,
Mhm.
and they got to the transfer station and only had $60 worth of coupons left in their glove compartment,
Mhm.
you're gonna make them wait until the following weekend to get rid of that trash for the $5 coupon that they're missing.
Well, they could throw away the amount that they have, $60 worth, $65 worth, whatever it is. But what this is helping us do is kind of put control back in our hands as far as how much waste we're actually handling at the transfer station. If it's making residents more aware of what they're generating for trash, because it's very costly. And I don't think that it's asking too much of our residents to have some thought when it comes to things like that. Or they can always make a phone call to the transfer station to ask questions, which we encourage anyway.
Can they call their buddy and say, hey, do you have a coupon left over? Can I take a coupon?
Well, that's just it. If it's a town resident, the money's already been paid for the coupon at town hall. It's already covered the cost of trash trash disposal for the town, because the money's already been handled at the town hall.
Mhm.
And they have to be used in conjunction with the transfer station vehicle sticker. Color-coded vehicle sticker matches the coupon sticker color. The expiration date matches the expiration date on the vehicle sticker. So everything coincides.
Joe, you got questions? Go ahead.
Will the residents be issued a certain amount of free stickers?
Yes, and that can be determined by the select board. I came up with a $65 amount per year, because $65 a resident can get rid of a full truckload of demo. They can get rid of a king-size mattress, twin-size mattress, and some wood furniture. There's a lot of flexibility with the $65 allotment. You could double it if you'd like. I think $65 a year for a free for amnesty, I think is adequate.
Is that based on past year's numbers? I mean, we have a lot of metal,
Well, metal,
air conditioners, refrigerators, batteries, propane tanks.
sure.
There's all sorts of things that we took so some people
Yes.
could use far in excess of $65.
They could, but that's where they would have to go to the town hall and purchase the extras.
Well, in the past, the only problem I see with that is right up until now, it's been one of the perquisites of the town to the townspeople to
Utilize
2
amnesty.
times a year, they got to dump all the junk they could find, pretty much with impunity.
Mhm.
And I I feel that, okay, here's your $65. And then, to make them buy coupons might show a little pushback.
Well, I thought the whole idea of the coupon and these changes that we're making at the transfer station, is to try to curb the abuse that's been happening. The construction entities waiting for those 2 times a year to dump their waste for free. The residents that might possibly be throwing away AC units or refrigerator units for family members in other towns. Now that $65 isn't written in stone by any means. If the select board decides to maybe double that, or maybe enough for a refrigerator, a truckload of demo and an air conditioner and maybe a mattress, something that a household would generate in a year, it's definitely adjustable and flexible. That was just a number to start with.
I get you.
Well, how often does this happen? If we don't see that side of it, you do.
Hmm.
If the abuse on, contractors dumping off, or friends and families using it from other towns, dumping it off at our dump, percentage during amnesty week, is it 25%? Is it 30?
I would say it's close to 30%. I mean, we've in the past 5 years that I've been there, specifically the last 3 that I've been director, I've actually asked the guys to take notice to the guys that are there 3 and 4 times throughout amnesty weeks with the same vehicle. How many air conditioners are they dropping off? How many tires? How many mattresses? Things like that. And they're always commenting, Kevin, how can one household generate 15 mattresses? How even if it's a rental situation, how many households generate 5 air conditioners? Well, that's doable.
Mind if I go this way?
Sure. So that question has been raised, and people are aware of the attendants at the transfer station are aware of the person that shows up 5 or 6 trips with shingles in the back of their truck. They know that it's not one house, or it's a couple of jobs, because it's just things like that. Which, I'm all for people doing projects and using the transfer station. It's just the blatant abuse that I've seen over the years. And to know that our hands are tied, we really can't do anything about it. And even so, with these new systems, there's always going to be those times that, we don't have any control, or we don't know.
It's always going to be that, seems to be, there's always going to be that loophole, but if we can control most of it and educate the people to, I think this is what you're trying to tell us, if we can educate the public to say the more you abuse, the more it's going to cost, then it can kind of curb it to an extent. We're still going to get those people that are going to, it's cheaper to buy a coupon and still get somebody from another town to drop it off for $15 than it is for them to pay $25.
Sure.
So,
But at least the cost is now covered because people are. And I did actually think about the number of multi-family or multi-unit places in town as well. And, now my thought in this, Jeannie and Tim both recommended this, is that the free packages of coupons get put into the tax bill, the envelope where the tax bills go out to the residents, so that it's based on property taxes. Now, some of these properties have 4 or 5 units per property. They'll get an initial package of free amnesty coupons, and they can request more. They can divvy them up the way they see fit. If they have 5 families living in their apartment building, each family can get, so many, but it's up to them to divvy them out as they see fit, because they're ultimately responsible for their building
Right,
and the trash that their building is generating.
right.
And if the landlords decide not to give them to the tenant,
Well, that's why they get the first package, and then they can petition for extra. But they
yeah,
have to
but
show
you're
that they
talking
need
about giving them to the landlord, right?
Right.
to the property owners.
The
That's
property,
correct.
And you're assuming that the property owner will dispense them to their tenants.
Well, if the tenants leave the garbage at the house and don't dispose of it because they have no means or aware of it, then the health officer is gonna step in, and now who's accountable?
But
But
we're not
but
talking
the
about
owner.
garbage, we're talking about C&D
Well-
and the major appliances and big mattresses and stuff, garbage.
Well,
It's
that's what
picked
I'm
up
talking about too.
every
If you're
week.
talking about mattresses and things like that, we had the same instance not too long ago on one of the tree streets where it was mattresses and appliances and things like that. The ultimate ownership belongs to the property owner. It's
Mhm.
not the tenant, it's the property owner. So if the property owner decides not to give the tenant the coupon, it ultimately, and that tenant throws a mattress out on the lawn, and we cite them for that mattress on the lawn, it's the property owner.
But we give them $65 or pick a number
Mhm.
of coupons. Excuse me, Mr. Landlord, I have a mattress to get rid of. Good, just a $10 coupon. You bring that to the transfer station with your mattress
Mhm.
and you can get rid of it.
Right,
And he realizes a $55 net on him comes, he's got shingles and he's got C&D. He's gonna bring down all of his crap and he's gonna have coupons.
That his building generates.
right.
So if he has, why, so
It could
So
be
what
from
I was thinking,
anywhere.
what I was thinking, it could be exactly that could be it.
I mean, that's
Absolutely.
just a what if,
It is a what if.
shot a little
So,
hole in a little
my-
tiny hole.
My thought process was, okay, we have this one family home up on Ridge Road. Okay, they get $65 worth. Is it fair to have a 5-unit apartment building get the same amount?
Oh, no,
So
each
then we,
apartment, but I would give them to the people as opposed to give them to the landlord.
okay,
That's the
so how do we,
only thing that I would say.
how do we regulate
They
that?
have to register cars, right? They
Yes,
have to have a dump sticker to get rid of their stuff at the transfer station. We could give the stuff out with the dump sticker. And that would avoid the people who don't use the transfer station and wouldn't use the transfer station.
how do we keep track of who gets free dump stickers and who doesn't, if it's not linked to a
You
tax
have to
bill?
present a car registration. When I do my car registration, I could get my $65.
So 6 months from now, you could take your car registration back to town hall and say, I didn't get my free coupons. How do we keep track of
You
who?
should have mentioned that at the time. Because if it's an
Or if they
automatic
got-
thing, if it's an automatic thing, I don't care what anybody says. As long as they're giving out the stickers, when they give out, or giving out the coupons, when they give out the stickers.
What happens if you change vehicles?
What happens if you have 3?
Well,
No,
me,
but it would vary. We're talking household or are we, we're
Right,
talking
exactly.
registered, because I mean,
Household, although a
That's
household with
tough.
3 vehicles could each get a dump sticker,
Absolutely.
even if they couldn't get the
But it-
residence.
but it should be, so just devil's advocate, if we went with a system similar to what Selectman Jessman's talking about, it would be, so a household, Ruggles household would get 1 coupon book, but I could get 3 dump
3
stickers
dump
because of the.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
okay. So that, yeah,
Every
that's
vehicle.
because here's what I was thinking is that, as Kevin says, if you come back with the registration, Ruggles could come back and do 3 registrations and get, he could end up with $195 worth of coupons
right.
That would not
and
be.
be
covered by
shucking them on
my
the street,
plan.
but,
We would
Working for profit.
have to figure out a way to regulate that.
That would be a thing
To
too.
track.
well, and the other,
Serial numbers get involved. a lot of work on the town class
That's
collector
what I was just gonna say.
they have to log the numbers in, and then there's gonna be a database in there that says, okay, oh, sorry, you already got yours for the year.
I think,
Sounds like an IT problem.
Did you happen to have a conversation with her to see if this would be a viable situation for her to,
No,
Okay.
my first step was here.
okay. I think that would be a kind of a next step to do. Go ahead.
so just a question, and I don't want to get Tim's hairy eyeball or yours, but when we're looking at, when we look at the past amnesty days, have we recorded how many folks come in on an amnesty day? And then what the approximate cost of getting rid of everything from that amnesty days?
Yeah.
So here's what I'm thinking, just in terms of if we decide to go to this, looking at that, being able to give sort of that average number of what it costs the town, and then being able to have that comparative number saying that, sort of here, $65, that if we had 100 people come in and it was $6,500, it costs us $6,500 to get rid of that stuff. Then you see what I'm coming down with the numbers there, so that we've got a comparative number to sort of allow the taxpayers to know that on average on amnesty days, we as a town have been spending $65 per person who's dumping on amnesty day. Just so we've got a sort of a little numbers sort of run for people if we go to this and if they ask about it. So.
Yeah, if I may, I look at it two ways. One way is the way you just described in terms of what our current costs are. And the other is to look at what our costs of disposal of things are. So if you have a category of coupon, because I'm personally not in favor of printing a dollar value on them, because we don't want people coming back and saying, I want to return my, get cash back. So however it would be done, but the value being that if you can turn in something, it costs $20 to get rid of something. So we would have to make sure that we're recouping a certain percentage of what we're getting rid of. But we have 1,400, a little over 1,400 current curbside pickups. So that really denotes residences. So if you think about that, $50 for each residence would equate to about a $70,000 cost. Right now, we're running, without calculating any labor or other fees, just disposal costs alone are about $25,000.
Okay.
So we probably have a little work to do looking at the numbers and what's the right count. But the important thing I think that Kevin's really hit on is that, you use it a lot, you have a way of paying for it and using it when you can. There were years when I could never get to the transfer station because Little League was starting that day in the spring. There was the parade. What are you going to do? Go to the parade or go to, and it was working. So, so this is, I think, a wonderful benefit to people. And just based on some feedback last night, just about solid waste and disposal of solid waste, it sounded like the family that came last night to the public hearing was interested in finding a way, well, could I pay more for something, to be able to dispose? That was trash, but the idea being that I think people will understand that that if you generate it, there's a cost to it. You're gonna pay that marginal amount that you're generating that much more for if you want to get rid of it.
And what you're saying, Tim, is that the folks who were here last night too did acknowledge for them it was difficult to get to the transfer station hours. So this,
That's right.
This kind of could provide that opportunity for people to have a little bit more freedom to get there and do those things. And I think as we're acknowledging, this is not to cover all costs, but it's to defray the costs that we currently incur.
And to educate that the price of throwing away trash and CD is what you call it, is costing us going up exponentially.
Bucket loads.
That's the education portion of it, which is what you need to, is what your whole intent is.
And I think Kevin's comment is making people become more aware and more responsible in terms of what they're doing, or we can insinuate who they're helping with those things. So it's fine, you can help someone, but they should be giving you money for the coupon.
Yeah, it's one thing helping a neighbor within Tilton, saying, hey, yeah, I got a truck, we can help each other within Tilton. But coming from other towns is different. I get that. I get that wholeheartedly. I didn't realize it was to that extent. But, good, Jim.
Do you anticipate any problems with illegal dumping on the far end of Pest House Road?
There's always that chance.
Last time,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, John.
So if I, let's say I'm to be doing some rebuilding a deck or porch or something like that, and I want to dispose of it, and I don't have the coupons, I buy a coupon. So naturally, it would behoove me to purchase a larger coupon than what I need, so that I don't get to dump part of it, not the other part. So does that coupon now expire at the end of the year? And the other part is, if I don't use it, can I get a refund because I didn't need it? I'm trying to cover my butt so I don't have,
Well,
turned away.
I think it's outlined in here as far as you could buy individual coupons or you could buy books of coupons. Like if you have a big project coming up and you might be in the $65 to $75 range or even $80 range, you could buy a book of maybe 10, $20 coupons, which would cover you for any of the construction that you have going on.
And do they expire?
I do have them as an expiration date, but obviously that is money spent. And if we could come up with a way to make it so that they don't expire, but still coordinate with the transfer station vehicle sticker, I'm all for it. Because it is money spent to the town.
In November, I say, well,
The whole idea,
you can say, oh, that's a yard or it's that. I don't know if anybody else here would be able to tell me right now, but how much material would be like the table and half the chairs? So I wouldn't know. I think, I don't know, maybe 65, 75, or maybe that's too much. But I want to make sure I get enough. So I don't want to get all down there and say, you can throw away 8 of the 12 chairs. And then I gotta go back to town hall, which couldn't be an inconvenience for some people.
Well, it's Saturday, John.
It's Saturday. Well, I can't go down.
So you can't do it on Saturday.
So I'm just wondering about that in getting away from the cash part. But I mean, is there, so I guess that would be a hard time to do, like a card swipe or something.
I was looking into that. We do have our credit card processor. There's a possibility we could do something, but not with normal credit cards. It was something, some other type of payment. Something I was looking into, Invoice Cloud. So that's what we use on the back end.
And trash.
At the town meeting, there'll be a discussion about recycling and trash in general. And I've heard various ideas about expansion of the transfer station. And a couple of weeks from now, I would love to explore some of those options. Because that'll be part of the town meeting conversation. What's feasible to do and what kind of, area we've got. As it turns out, recyclables have value. Not to us, of course, because we have a curbside single stream and it costs $100 a ton to get rid of that stuff, which is even more than regular garbage. We could make money on cardboard and we can make money on plastics if we separate it into the, this stuff, but I would like to have that discussion 2 weeks from now.
okay.
Give you the opportunity to put a plan in place or some general ideas, and I'm sure you already have. I can see where you've cleared spots and you've moved to dumpsters and real happy with the way you're progressing down there. But
We're definitely not finished.
Go ahead.
So Kevin, just a practical question as I was looking at it and because I was looking at the expiration date on this, would there be a worry about, I'll say it, a run on dumping sort of in December? Especially as you guys are ramping up for winter, all of that stuff. So I was just thinking in terms of practical stuff for your crew, for everyone else is just.
Spending out the last of the FSA that you can't turn over.
We got one more week. I better go and do this.
So, yeah, just in terms of practical sense. And I do kind of agree with John a little bit that if we go to this, trying to work out a way so if Scott Ruggles has $15 left at the end of the year, that I could go in and then just sort of swap it out for next year's, for 15 for next year. Maybe that, because I know there's burdensome piece there too. But just thinking about.
Well, I did think of the whole no expiration date,
Mhm.
but then what popped into my head was that one person that collects for 3 or 4 years and then all of a sudden,
Bring some houses.
now it is money spent,
Well,
but it was for that one budget year. And that, now we've got this huge expense or this huge flood of trash
Like their own capital reserve.
yeah.
coming in.
Well, yeah.
And this,
I wonder that this is literally off the top of my head. I wonder if the initial coupons that are received, that those have an expiration date, but the ones purchased
That's what I was.
don't have an expiration date.
okay.
So do you see, so the free ones, the ones that are issued with the tax bill, those would have an expiration date of that calendar year.
Mhm.
And then the other ones that are purchased could be open-ended ones that people can carry over.
And also maybe a maximum
So,
use.
Well, and also, it doesn't have to expire at the end of the calendar year.
Yeah.
It could be October 1st expiration or November 1st
Sure.
expiration.
there's a way to, do that with the expenditure. So,
Oh, okay.
Any other questions for Kevin? Jeannie, you got a question?
No, so just for Kevin, it sounded like what you want him to do is have a conversation with the town clerk tax collector to see how she feels about this. And then based on the feedback that you've gotten here tonight, come back with a revised proposal. Yes.
Yeah, I would say work with Tim too on the IT portion of that part too.
Okay.
And what about the purple bags?
We're still collecting purple bags.
And that would still be the same.
That is for the wet trash, the trash that's generated in the kitchen, kind of.
MSW.
No, that's different. That's household burnables. They call it the trash that stinks or gets or slimy. That goes in the regular garbage dumpster. That's what we've been using the purple bags.
The designation for that is municipal solid waste,
Okay.
MSW. At least down at the incinerator where they burn it.
That's possible where it goes. That's correct. But we do have another dumpster that's marked MSW for your plastics and your styrofoams and things like that.
Okay, as long as we have a garbage dumpster, just a jive garbage.
Yes, I refer to it as like a kitchen trash, anything you generate in your kitchen.
Okay,
Yes.
So I'm confused.
What's
If
that?
I have extra trash from my
From,
office, home office, or, cleaning the house or whatever, and I want to throw it out, it's
Yeah.
my understanding that I would have to purchase purple bags.
That's
put a
correct.
Purple bag and put in. So that's still,
yes.
okay. So it's not just kitchens.
Not just kitchens.
Everything, purple bags, trash.
Anything that you're not recycling. Trying to think of paper or, like any food wrappers, any paper wrappers, things like that. Something that isn't going into recycling would go into the purple bags.
coffee ground,
Yeah, food,
cat litter.
yes, anything like that.
Broken kids' toys, plastic.
That would go in MSW, the big orange dumpster, no purple bag.
And normally that just goes in the regular trash bin though, right?
The broken
At the
toys,
curb. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's curb pickup stuff. I thought all the
If
curb pickup stuff, we put it, if you have overflow, you purchase a purple bag.
that's correct.
You put
Yes.
it in there and you take it.
Mhm.
And that just goes somewhere, just like the trash in the bins.
Yes.
They burn it in Pennacook.
Okay. All right,
So they have to bring it by contract.
any other? Tim?
I was just going to mention, last night, the people who came to the public hearing inquired about getting a private bin. And those are available from Menard, $175 a year. It's a 65-gallon container with a yellow top that they pick up separately. And the town gets half the revenue from it. So we get half the 175. And there's a handful.
Have they sold any of
It's a
them?
65 gallon.
There's 69. It's not as big as the current.
What are the black ones? 30 something?
Oh,
What are the black receptacles?
I want to say it's 45.
45? Well, that's,
The big black ones, I thought they were like 90. something like that.
I think that the green ones are 90.
the green ones
The
are 90, I
biggest of
think.
90, the biggest of the green.
So it would be a 69 in between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm
60,
I'm not exactly sure of the size. I thought it was 65 or 69.
65, 69, which would be in between the two of them for, I'm
75 a year.
trying to think in my head, would that be worthwhile for me to do with a multi-family instead? Yeah, okay. Any other questions for,
No, I think this is, I mean, this makes fiscal sense. So I think sorting through it if we go this way.
okay,
So, thank you,
got
Kevin.
it.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
We're meeting tomorrow, correct?
Yes, assuming there's not a major snowstorm. But yes,
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, there's going to be a
Kevin, thank
major
you.
snowstorm tomorrow.
Oh, this is gonna be a big one.
Do you know how much? No,
6 to 12 inches
you
after the rain, so it's gonna be messy.
messing rain.
Thank
Kevin, when you go down, will you just make sure that sign, I don't know, Leanne turned it around.
Make
Is
sure
it
it's
non-public or public?
it's public.
Yeah, I turned it before I
Okay,
came up.
great, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Good luck tomorrow. Okay, Chuck Mitchell isn't coming in until 6. We have 20 minutes. We want to start on the selectmen's report. So do you want to talk about the storm and whether or not we should open town hall tomorrow?
That was-
Since Tim broached that subject, yeah,
I,
you have so far to come from.
well, in the past, we have, I mean, it is, we're going to have ice and rain underneath that storm. And we already have injuries resulting from the last one from staff members. So I think that we need to take precautions here.
Well,
What do you think?
I think what I have done in the past is said to people who live far away that they should look at the weather, and if they think it's unsafe, they should not come in. I think what Tim was talking about was actually close, announcing we're going to close town hall. And that's always been a selectman's decision.
Well, I think that that's what perhaps maybe, that's what I was thinking, just close it. I mean, that gives you all the opportunity to stay home and be safe, particularly you, because I know you'll be here if we don't, and that you're coming from Meredith.
Tim lives here, so he doesn't,
I
we're
mean-
not worried about him.
But you also have the ability, if we need you in an emergency, the ability to get online at home.
Well, right, I would work from home, so
Right.
it doesn't matter to me one way or the other. So let's look at it. Leanne. And of course Gail's already in it, so.
Right. I can't see her walking down there. Go ahead, John.
Way we always had done it in the past was at like 6 AM, the chairman goes and takes a look, you know, in case the storm blew out and makes the call. That's the way we've always done it, because storms
Sometimes
change.
sometimes anticipates and says it's 6 to 12 and we don't know.
And
It's 12.
Yep, it blew out, see, and we got rain.
Yeah. We've left it up, the chairs left it up to the town administrator and said, okay, call everybody to stay home.
I'm fine with that.
We've done that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I used to do that.
I used to do that all the time. So, I mean,
So Eric,
consensus, do we want to have, Eric just take a look at what it is, call Jeannie and have her make the decision?
That sounds fair. Mhm.
Everybody?
Eric is gonna call Jeannie, or Jeannie can just choose.
All right, we'll just have Jeannie choose.
Winnisquam just closed.
I just got the notice.
Winnisquam
Winnisquam School
closed?
District just closed. The school district closed.
Yeah, but they've got school bus driver issues and on top of nasty roads and unfamiliar drivers. Don't want to go there. We're not talking about that
You know,
here.
those bus drivers.
I don't know about bus drivers. What
Do
is?
Well, I heard that dispatchers were going out and shop people were going out sometimes.
we could probably do my report real quick.
It's a good diversion. So, in other words, you're making the decision tomorrow.
I thought
Yeah.
Eric was gonna.
I know they
It would-
said it was consensus would be you would be the one that doing it.
You don't need
Okay with
Eric to say so.
So 6 AM, you're the one that's doing it.
Checking the roads in Tilton.
Yes, I'll be calling Kevin.
Just roll it.
Well,
Make sure it's you and not the puppies.
I'll be at work.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Go ahead.
So you all got my report. There were 2 action items that are need to be signed. Folder 1 was for the household hazardous waste product collection program. Pretty straightforward. You sign it every year. It's gone up a little bit this year because it's based on the 2020 census, which went up a little bit. The other item is a letter to Eversource asking for a detailed asset report for transmission assets in Tilton, and this is Avatar's request. They need that information to do their work. In the FYI file, you will note that I had Kevin go out today and confirm that the boulders are gone from 135 West House Road. And then the other FYI item will be in front of the board on the 17th for you to consider, which is possible another provider.
Mhm.
We did address the weather, and we do have more folks out on, from illness. Seems to be,
How many do we have, do you know?
2. Yeah. And Tim, I don't know if you have anything you want to talk about?
Oh, sure.
If you want.
That's all right. I wasn't planning to be on your agenda tonight, but I did have a report that I provided for all of you. And there's just some updates on the projects that I'm working on, but the more important thing was regarding our 2021 audit engagement letter. So auditing standards change from time to time, and there are new requirements. Sometimes the requirements for the wording of what the auditor does or how it's listed have to change. So there's one such change that needs to be done for the 2021 audit. And in discussing this with our auditor, we discussed, that since this was the last year of the current engagement, if, we might extend. And I said, well, would you be willing to, lock in the pricing that you've given us, for some period of time? And so once he got back to me, he said that they'd be willing to do that. And he said 3 to 5 year that's the extent they'd be willing to go out with the locked in pricing for the audit. So my recommendation would be to go with the 5, mainly because we do use them during the year. We use them for questions when things come up accounting wise, making sure that, if there's something that's a little, could go either way with something. They're very helpful and are very knowledgeable. They deal primarily with municipalities and school districts. So they know the government area inside and out. Plus, they have the institutional knowledge of our town, and they're also willing to hold their pricing for us. So in any case, that's regardless of whether you decide that you're in favor of extending, we will still need to have a new engagement letter for the 21 audit. So anyway, that's what that's about.
How much is it per year?
I believe it's in the letter. It's $16,250.
Wouldn't that ordinarily kick in RFP
Well, you certainly could.
for 16 grand?
You certainly could. If that's the way you want to go, then.
Well, no, I'm saying that ordinarily we bicker over
Well,
$500.
Right.
So 16 grand, I need to know why this company is the one to go.
Well, as a professional service, I'd make the argument, if it's more of a commodity type of thing, then yeah, I agree with you, looking for the best price, and something like that. But when it's professional service and these auditors have worked with the town for a number of years and they know our town inside and out. If I were to leave or someone else were coming in my position or for that matter, really anything to do with the finances of the town, they know the town inside and out from a financial perspective. So that's something that you don't get with many places. And I can tell you one of the people I serve with on the school budget committee is an auditor, Lance Turgeon over in Northfield. And he's a principal down south. And when we discussed, the costs of, I was talking to him about what we pay in Tilton and who we have, and he thought that was a fantastic price. Because one of the things you run into is you get people that will give you a lower price, but they don't give you any other service other than just the basic document. So we use them quite a bit in terms of the bond and last year's project on the project on the building. I've used them a number of times in terms of just, when we dealt with the betterments, when we dealt with the liabilities for some of these things, cleaning up things in the past. And there's still things that linger that I would like to take care of. And they're very helpful with that sort of thing and just very easy to work with and do business with. And that's one of the things too, that, a different company, we're going to be starting from scratch. And not that I'm, worried about, additional work with dealing with a new company. You're still providing the same type of information, but you don't necessarily get the same service. And there are differences between auditors, I can tell you that much. So in any case, but if the board wants to take time and think about it and I can have them prepare an engagement letter that would just be for the 21 audit. But I like the idea.
Have Eric here if we're going to commit ourselves
Oh, of
for
course.
$75,000.
Of course, right. So, this was my one item. So
Okay,
just bringing it up to
I'm
speed.
sure it'll come up.
But the other, I believe the fire district does that.
Mhm.
They've done that. I know other organizations that have done that too, because it also gives you some continuity too.
I'm convinced, but again, I would rather.
Oh, sure,
have it
yeah.
here.
But anyway, that's really all I had. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Tim. Do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Eric just texted and said it's almost here.
We can do selectmen's reports.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with Joe.
Okay, we've already got a couple things off my list. I'd just like to say that there's a project up on the lake, right across from, what is it, the roadway in? The old Route 3, where the old Route 3 branches off, right on that corner, there's people working right, like, I don't know if they're in the water, but they're at the water. And there's a graveyard, there's graves on that piece of property. And I just wondered if they were doing the right thing. I didn't feel it was and I should have asked,
I can ask Leanne. She hasn't.
Yeah, I
mentioned
should have
anything.
asked
I did
Leanne.
see that the other day as well.
So I was alerted to that by someone, and I stopped to take a look to make sure that they had not breached into the graveyard. They were close, but they had not breached into the graveyard. So it's, I think someone who's got a more trained eye, maybe just to go over and just take a
I'll
look.
ask
when they
Leanne
get there.
about it tomorrow.
Okay.
okay, and I would like to bring up the subject of police cars again. Our last police chief came to us and sold us on police cars that were not the usual kind that we get. And there are some additional costs associated with that. And I don't think I've heard enough from the lieutenant who's going to be responsible for these cars in the future. And I would like to have the lieutenant come by and see if he really thinks this is a good idea. I have concerns about having two different kinds of cars in the fleet and John.
John, go ahead.
If I remember correctly, it was a major part of that was from our mechanic. And the problem is that they cannot service the new Fords, that they have to go back to the dealership because of proprietary software that's used for troubleshooting. The other problem is that to change a water pump on those cars, he has to completely remove both front wheels, the transmission, the engine, all the suspension on both of them. And every single car has failed around 85,000 miles within 2,000 miles
On the
either way.
Fords.
On the Fords.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you remember, they did have a couple of recalls in the beginning because of the exhaust fumes and stuff like that. They're as rugged. And that was the driving part behind it. And our former chief, if I recall, she actually was looking even at getting the Fords.
Yeah, Lieutenant Gilman was one who actually started the thought process of getting Tahoes. Isn't that correct? He was the one who advocated for it.
Who was it?
Lieutenant Gilman. It started with him, I believe, and the former chief just brought it forward. And that was based on his discussions with our DPW director.
I'm also concerned about the fact that, well, we were promised two that didn't exist, but be that as it may, buying police cars out of our area.
We're not.
We're not any
Go
longer.
back with McMulkin.
So those,
McMulkin is in Concord.
yes, well, Manchester.
Manchester.
Is there no local dealerships?
They have the state bid.
Hmm.
And they have the order in. In addition, this is something I was going to have to discuss with the board at some point, but we received an invoice from the upfitter The order had been placed with them. So we've been presented with a $24,000 invoice for all the additions when we don't have the cruisers, and we're trying to determine what's the best course of action to go with this.
There's no way of knowing when those cruisers might be available.
Well, so we have a little, we have to determine how we're gonna handle, this and make sure that, and seek approval from the board before we move forward. No, I don't have an updated delivery. We need to check with the town.
Any other questions? Anyone for you?
And that's, I've got a ozone days meeting again. We just had a meeting of the water commission. Trying to move on the budget to the budget committee. They're under the impression that we have to wait to get a paper back from DRA before saying that they approved this budget before we can submit it. Our treasurer has been calling on a regular basis. So far, it's produced nothing. They've had it for 10 days down at DRA. Hopefully, she was supposed to be trying to get that straightened around today. And we're a very loosely knit bunch of residents doing our best. So there you have that, and that is it for me.
I will turn this back over to the chairman. He's arrived. We've waiting on Chuck Mitchell. We've done everything else, and we've done town administrator report and Joe Jessamine. So the next one until Chuck comes would be you, Eric, for selectmen's reports.
Sure. Hold on, I don't have a microphone. Sorry. Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you.
I needed to stretch my legs anyway, so.
I apologize for my tardiness. What a selectmen's report you said, right? Yeah.
Yes, because Chuck's not here at 6 yet.
Okay.
There are a couple of things real quick that we need to clear up that you weren't here for.
Okay.
And required a vote. One is in the finance officer's report about signing a new 5-year engagement letter to lock in our pricing with our auditors. We use them throughout the year. The cost is $16,000 annually, but it would be held firm for that. These guys are the pros and they know the ins and outs of Tilton. So, but wanted you to be here for the
Yep.
vote.
Nope.
So that said, I move that we sign a new 5-year engagement letter for auditing services with Roberge and Company, CPAs.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Motion passes.
It's in your to be signed folder.
Anything else, Mr. Jeffrey?
There is, but I think it's a hiring discussion.
Okay.
and
Correct.
that's
It's
to be
for
in
non-public.
non-public.
Filled him in on that one when he
Okay.
came in. So that's a non-public.
Okay. So we're under selectmen's reports and Joe Jessman went. Okay, so that makes me next. There were no petition warrant articles submitted by the deadline. And then also I'll make an announcement for the candidates running for office. We have Helen Hanks running for moderator, Christine Dembitsky, Budget Committee, Sandy Heislop, Treasurer, Joe Jeffman, Selectman, Bernie Chapman, Supervisor of the Checklist, Kim Souls, Town Clerk, Tax Collector, Jason Wright, Sewer Commissioner, Stanley Robinson, Trustee of the Trust Funds. Thank you for all those who are running for office. And elections are on March 8th from at the high school. Also, the winter parking ban is still in effect until April 15th, which I think tonight would be a good night to exercise that based on the forecast. Let's see, so that is all I have. John Scanlon.
I don't have anything like that.
All right. Thank you. Pat Constantino.
February 12th, there is a spaghetti dinner fundraiser for Meals on Wheels, to benefit Meals on Wheels at the senior center. It's $10 for adults, $8 for seniors. Again, if you can't attend and would like to buy a ticket for a senior to attend, you can see me after the meeting, or Emily, Iris, or Jane have tickets. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else, Pat?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you. And next, Scott Ruggles.
Just a quick report, public hearing last night for Budget Committee. It was, we had a few citizens here and online who brought some ideas to us. In addition, the Budget Committee also did recommend warrant article number 3 as well. That was the last one that we needed to vote on. And we did vote to recommend that warrant article, which is the lighting article. So, all set.
All right, well, thank you very much. Let's see. Chuck Mitchell. Yeah, welcome. Why don't you have a seat right here for us?
And the lovely Mrs.
And the lovely Mrs. Mitchell.
I want you to pay particular attention to my coordinating mask.
I was going to mention that. And actually, she has a coordinating mask as well. So you guys are quite fashionable. It just came from the great state of Rhode Island, and I was very confused if I needed a mask or not.
That sounds like the great state of Rhode Island.
There's a sign that says mask. You walk in, no one's wearing a mask.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I wanted to just give you an update on the election and a couple of comments on town meeting. Would it be clear if I took the mask off?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. This year, because everyone who's running is unopposed, I'm quite sure that we probably will not have a huge turnout for the elections. However, I'm still going to request that those who come in to vote wear a mask. I'll have to make sure I have a sign that's going to be out there. As you know, the gym has been already reserved. Also, if we have folks who are not going to be wearing masks this year, I do not intend to have a separate voting area. We're just going to let them go through. I don't want to get into one of these confrontations with anyone. The town will be providing those sneeze guard shields for all of those poll workers, including the supervisors of the checklist, the ballot clerks, town clerk, moderator, and so forth. I also have a collection of KN95 masks, which we can make sure that everyone has one of those who are going to be working there at the event. I haven't made my mind up yet whether or not the town will be providing food, but we probably will. Anyone who enters the gym without a mask, we're going to be offering them one. And if they chose not to wear a mask, that's up to them. I have kind of a tentative seating arrangement, and I want to get to that for the town meeting afterwards, but everyone who comes in can go ahead and vote in the normal way, and I'm going to make sure that everyone there is protected. Also, since everyone whose name's on the ballot really cannot be a volunteer this year, And by the way, the state only requires selectmen to have to be at state and national elections and not at local elections. But I really would appreciate having at least one or two selectmen who can be there during the day. I would like to have one in particular that can help to be a greeter, and it would be nice to have a select board member being a greeter. One of the other things are there's some additional restrictions this year on anyone who does come in without a valid ID or anyone who comes in to register that they want to have the pictures taken. So we will be doing that there as well. And at this point, I seem to have a commitment already from several ballot clerks and one or two people who will assist as assistant moderators. As you know, Helen, who's been an assistant for many years, is on the ballot, so she knows that she's not going to be there during the day, and she'll probably come and help set up in the afternoon and maybe come in and help to take things down, which is also something, excuse me, that it would be helpful to have select board members there if we can on Monday afternoon. I have yet to confirm with the school. There's always the question, and I deal usually with Rob Berry over there, who does the communication with the school, whether or not there's a last period gym class or whatever. I'm only anticipating, because I'm expecting a low turnout, that we will only use half of the gym, unlike what we used the whole gym last year. So a little extra help when we set up and a little extra help when we take things down at the end of the day would be very helpful, because as you know, the highway department really does prefer and would like to have all the equipment out, and so does the school, out into the hallway there in the lobby at the high school. Yes,
Shoot me a text as to the topic on Monday when you find out.
I'll do that. I'll send a text out, or I'll send an email out to everyone when I find out how soon we can get in. There's also been confusion because sometimes they don't even start to cover the floor until, whatever it is, 2:30 or whatever. And sometimes it's been 3 o'clock, and sometimes it's been closer to 3:30 before they'll let us in the gym. And I'm assuming that I'm going to have to get in touch with Kevin about what kinds of PPE, because there was an awful lot of stuff that was left over from, as you know, from the last couple of elections and things. And there's some of that I'm hoping that the town can use. I think they ended up last year with, believe it or not, 3,000 or 4,000 masks. And I know that Cindy had ordered some, and then that some had been allocated for the election. And there was just this voluminous boxes of the stuff. So, as a matter of fact, I would almost suggest to the town, if you find out that there are that many more masks than we need, if you know any local organizations or places where they would use them, that we might, do something with them. Given some thought, I had a question at one point that had come up to me about whether or not there should be any kind of a candidates night, and whether or not I might be interested in moderating one. And my comment right now would be that I would think that a good thing to do would be to have for the select board, maybe to sponsor what would be called a candidates come and meet the candidates night. And I think that the community room up at the police station, because it's all on one floor, maybe get a few low-end refreshments and invite all the candidates who are running for office to be there, and make sure that you invite the general public. You could even, if you wanted to, put a sign out. Those message boards that we had for up at the elections, those white ones, sandwich boards. I'll bet we could get some lettering up, and you could even put it out here, or even on the sidewalk somewhere to advertise a candidate's night. Or just come and meet the candidates. I've also got one other suggestion for the board to think about for the future, which is the towns of Northfield as well as Samerton both have their balloting hours on elections from 7 in the morning until 7 at night. I am going to suggest that previous town clerk was totally opposed to that. But there are people who have jobs and like to come in the morning and vote before they have to be at work. And once or twice where we have done that, I have made tallies, and we have had, I think, a number of people. I've even found people standing outside at 7 o'clock in the morning and wanting to get in, and you have to say, don't, wait and come in at 8. But since you can't do that at this election, that's something to consider for the fall, because in the fall, as you know, you got the state primary and then the general election in November. Any questions at all about the election? Yes, Joe.
Can we announce in some way the change in hours at this year's voting? Or at the town meeting or something, just to get it out to the most possible people?
If the select board is the one that determines the hours for the election, and if the select board decides that future elections in this town should be 7 to 7, you could make that decision and we can get that information out. Absolutely.
But isn't it too late for this election?
It would be too late because you have to have at least a 60-day notification.
Okay.
Well, you could announce it for the fall. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The hours are changing.
So it is your recommendation to go.
I would suggest that, yes. Yep.
I agree.
That would be my recommendation. If there's no other questions about the election, then I'll just go on quickly about the town meeting. Yes, Jeannie.
I just checked with Kevin about PPE, and he said we have a lot of face masks and gloves left over, and they have the DPW upstairs. So
What I'm going to need to do, I think, is to get in touch with him. You won't believe what I've got at home. I'll bet I got 4 cardboard boxes of stuff that I bought, including hand wipes and those containers that had the Clorox wipes to do all the countertops. Those are things that I bought personally and donated, and I still have them. So by the time we get done, there's just so much PPE that is left that I don't know. I mean, you don't want the stuff to sit there and rot, but if there's some way that you guys can figure out in the future, whether it's not, it's donating some to the library, other places, senior center, whatever.
I know from personal experience, I actually donated some, at the beginning of the pandemic, I donated a significant number of gloves to Franklin VNA because they needed them.
Yeah.
So that might be an outlet to be able to distribute some of that to them.
Well, I know the state provided a lot of those rubber gloves last year and almost no one used them. And then they donated those gallon jugs, and then the pumps didn't work and didn't fit the tops. And then we had to use tape to seal that down.
That sounds perfect.
We will have small amounts of PPE available at both the election and we'll have, and for the town meeting. Also, I notified, and when it comes to the town meeting, because I think it is still important for having some social distancing, and there are still some people who want to be able to be around, be at a distance from others. I've got this kind of a little map here, and what this one shows, and it's not worth really making a copy to pass out, but what it really shows is like single seating on one side, double seating on the other. And what I'd like to do, planning on doing, and I had Gail contact the school, is to actually use the gym again because there's more spacing ability in the gym rather than in the cafetorium. And it would be I don't know that we have to necessarily have every single row of seating exactly 6 feet apart, but I want to make sure that we have sufficient seating for both. Double seating, which is usually husband and wives or whatever spouse is coming, and single seating. And at the town meeting, I do not intend to have any separate area again allocated for those not wearing masks. But if we have sufficient seating, and I think we will, I mean, with no major bond issue this year, and again, I don't expect a huge turnout. So I think that we should be able to accommodate everyone. And if there are people who come in without a mask and they sit near someone who has a mask and someone that is uncomfortable, there should be enough seating that people can move around. But I don't want to put up, I think part of a problem is by segregating a group of people in the back that's only asking for issues. And we know certain people in town might just create them. So I don't want to even go there. And I've discussed this with the new potential moderator, and she's in full agreement. I don't expect that there would be any request for secret ballots at the town meeting, but we'll be prepared and have ballots available just in case. Last thing is that I think I want to make sure that we sit down and, as I have done in previous years, to come and meet with you before that so we can figure out who's going to be moving which of the warrant articles.
We have
And,
a list, yeah.
We do.
and
We have the list.
you got it already?
Yeah.
The warrant.
Well, I want to make sure that everything is all set, and I feel a bit more comfortable coming just even for a short 5
Yep.
minutes ahead of time. And I want this to become, this is my last hurrah. I want this to go smoothly. I don't want any unexpected events.
Well, we
Gene?
appreciate that.
Gene?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Chuck, the warrant articles are done, they've been uploaded, and DRA is looking at them right now. Once they've signed off on that, you'll get a copy of that. And there are no petition warrant articles and only one advisory warrant article, which has to do with recycling, which may get some people because there would seem to be interest yesterday, last night. So that's really, other than that, there's nothing.
Good.
Joe?
Joe?
I would like to take this opportunity to thank you
Yes.
for your years of service and smooth town meetings and fair decisions and even temper. You've done an outstanding job, and I know the new moderator will step right in, but there's no replacing you, Chuck.
Absolutely.
We thank you.
I second that.
Well, thank you.
Very,
Good
very
job.
nice. Thank you very, very, very much.
I'll tell you, I have all the confidence in Helen to do the job. She's worked very closely with me over the last few years. I am very glad that she decided to run. I felt that after 12 years, it was time for someone else to step in. And I have guaranteed her that she has full access to my, whatever help I can be to her over the next few years in any way I can. And I had worked for a number of years very closely with Ken Randall before I got elected back in 2010. And so I'm sure that I can be helpful to her as well. I know that she's already approached me and wants to do some of the, to be active in all the decision making. And I've checked with her every step of the way here before we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Chuck.
Right.
I just had a quick question, Tim. Someone signed the wrong line on this.
That's okay.
Okay, so I can just sign their line?
Yeah, just draw it near.
Okay.
I'll take care of that.
No, no,
It probably means.
I'm not naming names, but I just wanted to,
Naming names that
Could you sign-
start with J, so you got
It could be Jessamine or John.
perfect. We'll just leave.
they have a vowel in their name.
Any vowel.
So that was,
Last name ends in N.
Okay. We're moving right along here.
yeah, we got, so I'm just confused on where we are right now. So
We've gone through everything.
We're non-public right now.
No, we're not, but we should.
We should.
so we're going to non-public here?
Mhm. Yes,
Oh, I thought I heard some, the stairs.
we're leaving.
All right. Is someone coming up?
No.
Okay, well, they came up the elevator, so. So,
I'm just gonna go shut.
okay. I can start though, right?
Looks like we have a member of the public.
Oh,
See if they have anything.
yeah, we have someone on the public here. So we have
Johnny.
Johnny M. Can you hear us, Johnny?
Unmute your microphone.
I'd have fallen asleep.
No, I guess not.
Johnny, we're about to go into non-public session, so I just wanted to see if you had anything to say, ask. All I can think it was Johnny Mathis.
Well,
That'd be cool.
chances are it's not.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Oh, I get you.
You're just singing is what was going on.
My head is spinning right now.
Is that what that was?
All right, so we can go in, I can enter it now.
Yeah.
She went down. Okay, so the time being 6:21, I make a motion to enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a public meeting, and 2, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2C, matters which if discussed in public would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy, if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant. And then RSA 91-A:3, 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
Second,
We have a second. Any discussion? Is it a roll call vote?
Constantine, yes.
Justman, yes.
Byrie, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We are non-public session at 6:20.
This
Make a-
conference will now be recorded.
Make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public
Green is
session
good, or does it need to be
until the
blue?
matters
I can,
resolved. Is there a second? Motion a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. Mr. Jessup has departed the meeting to go get a visitor,
a citizen,
a citizen. Citizen visitor, visitor citizen.
Citizen Kane.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
If there's a good boy to be charging me, then I'll pay.
Mr. Scott Davis is here. Mr. Davis, you can actually have a seat right here because it has to go into the record. Into the record.
All right.
I can't speak.
Saturday's storm, of course, there was nothing else to do, so I sat and watched the video of your last selectmen's meeting. And I have to say, when I got done watching it, I should say, my blood pressure was boiling. When I went on the ZBA, I was given a folder, a binder that had the different things in it. One of the things it had was how to behave in a meeting. And the town of Tilton has an ethics policy. Are you aware of that as a board of selectmen?
Yes.
Yes.
My All of you? signature's on the
Yes.
bottom. Have you read it?
Mhm.
So why did that not pertain to that meeting? When you had select board meeting?
So be very specific.
Be very specific. The last vote, there was a motion made about the increasing the budget reference to the town clerk tax collector. And that's what the main topic was that was being talked about, was raising that budget up to accommodate a 4% increase on that position. There was a motion made by Pat, which I couldn't believe that the rest of you sat and let that happen. If that doesn't pertain to the ethics policy we have here, and I'm going to be right up front with you, I've been in touch with the Attorney General's office on this. If that does not pertain to the ethics policy we have in this town, when does it? And I want an answer from all of you independently. If you've read this ethics policy that was passed in this town, and Pat, you passed it, you signed it. If that does not pertain to that, I want to know, when does it pertain to a meeting in this body, a Board of Selectmen?
It would certainly pertain to every meeting in that case.
With that vote, though, Joe, I'm asking about that specific
And
vote.
there's no excuse for it.
I didn't vote on.
I'm the one who's talking right now.
No, go ahead.
And
You were quiet.
there's no excuse for the way I voted. I've read the ethics policy, and it would definitely be covered by that.
The rest of you?
I question the vote. Made.
Why wasn't the ethics policy brought up, if you're aware of it?
I'm aware of it, and I honestly, I didn't think of the ethic. I was more just thinking of the motion.
I mean, once, and I'm being honest here, once you, as a governing body, lose the public's trust, it's done. I mean, you're entrusted to what now, $6 million a year? To oversee $6 million a year and carry out the business of the town? If your ethical standards aren't kept and you don't set it with the Board of Selectmen, how can you expect every other committee that you appoint and every other board that's elected in town to follow that? If you put a policy in. And it states right in your policy, it's the Board of Selectmen that are the enforcers of it, that take the action against the people who violate. Read your policy.
So the selectmen not allowed to vote on a bottom line budget?
No, Pat, the bottom line is if it pertains, if it's the appearance of a problem, you should step back and not be involved in the vote,
And what
period.
was the problem?
The problem was you kept mentioning Kim's name every time. Watch the film,
Mhm.
watch the film. You didn't mention the person, you didn't mention the position. You talked about Kim.
I made a motion to accept a $6
I'm not going to get in an
million
argument. I'm going to keep right here with the chair because I'm not going to get in an argument. If you don't see a problem, then we've got a problem. If you do not see a
I see
problem,
a problem with this conversation. That's what I see a problem with. I
Well-
made a motion for a bottom line budget
okay,
of $6 million.
I'm gonna ask another question.
I did not vote on a line item. I'm talking.
Yep.
I did not vote on a line item budget for anybody's increase. We all have stipends included in that bottom line budget as well. Every one of us. And for the last 13, 12 years in that bottom line budget, there's also been an increase for a deputy town clerk tax collector. A bottom line budget is a bottom line budget. And in the last 13 years, where have you been on the ethics policy on that when it's been a bottom line budget?
I've never been anywhere different than where I am right
Well,
now.
I haven't been anywhere different either, and I voted on a bottom line budget, which happened to have a deputy town clerk tax collector's wages in it. So voting on a bottom line budget, as I will at town meeting, and as I will next year, voting on a bottom line budget is a bottom line budget. It has our stipends in it, it has our wages in it, however you want to talk about it.
Chair, that was not what the discussion was. The discussion that Tim brought up to the Board of Selectmen was 2 pages that had only had the change of the percentage increase on the lines for the town collector, tax collector, town clerk. That's what the discussion was. I further want to know where in the minutes of our town is this position was voted on to appoint this individual in this position. I cannot find it anywhere in our minutes of our meetings from your Board of Selectmen.
No,
I want
know
you to tell me
I
where it
know
is.
it's there. I know it's there.
Where is it?
What are you doing? What are you talking about? We talked about that.
Where is it? It's not in any of the minutes. There's not a vote. I cannot
It's
find a vote, and I've gone
non-public
through them back and forth.
You mean she just mysteriously got to be?
That's
town
hiding
clerk
it from the
tax
public.
collector? No. There was a conversation.
It's, Joe, it is nowhere in your minutes. You can't, I'm just saying, you show me. I'm asking the question as a taxpayer and a resident voter of the town. Where is that vote? I'm just asking the question.
I can't tell you, but I'll tell you what, I'll find out.
One of the issues we have had in the past is when we have hired or promoted, when we come out of non-public, we seal the minutes of the non-public and we've neglected to say this is what's happened in non-public. And I personally apologize for that because that has been an issue. We have not come out and said, oh, this person's got promoted or this person's gotten hired at such and such a wage. And we should have done that tonight.
That's hiding it from the public.
Yes, we should have.
But she hasn't accepted.
No, I know that, but it's still, we should,
I'm just
You're right
asking the
on that
question,
account.
where in the meeting minutes
But when
can I
we-
look at it as a citizen?
but there's been plenty of
asking you,
hiring and things like that.
I would have to go
we've not-
back and look, and
we've not
I
ignored.
know it's in
Will you give
September.
it to me?
If I find it, yes.
What if you don't find it? So how is that fair to the citizens?
Oh, no, there was a conversation. It's written down somewhere.
There were many
It's
conversations.
not in any of the minutes,
Well,
Joe.
better be written down somewhere.
There's nowhere it should be hidden.
No,
I'm thinking it was August or September.
If there was a determination made by this Board of Selectmen to appoint an individual to a position, the public should know what the vote was.
Correct.
And nowhere can I find the vote.
I'll find it.
It's not there.
Well, no, I'm not saying, I don't want you to see you go behind the scenes and find
Don't
it.
say it's go.
And
don't
come
say
on.
it's there. It's
I'm
not there.
asking where in the public meeting minutes that are posted online that we have access to, public access to, where is those minutes to show me that? Just asking the question.
Apparently nowhere.
I mean, I don't know if they're non-public and then we just didn't release the minutes, unseal the minutes, I should say, unseal the minutes.
If you take action in non-public, and you should be all aware of this, if you take a vote and take action in non-public, you have to declare that action in public, what action you took. You can't hide it. If you're sealing those minutes and hiding it from the public, you're doing a disservice to the people of this town.
Well, hold on. It's never been our intention to conceal the fact that we appointed anybody to town clerk, tax collector.
I'm not saying that, Joe. I'm not saying
And
it's your
you're right.
intention.
We
I'm saying if
should've-
your policy has been, as one of your selectmen just mentioned, Pat just mentioned, that you've been sealing minutes and not letting the public know what actions were taken that changed the outlook of the town, shame on you. And you're at fault, all of you.
And you're right.
You're all at fault.
Mhm.
And if you expect other people to follow this ethics, I followed this. When I was on the ZBA,
Mhm.
there was a case next door to us. I recused myself and left the meeting, went downstairs and told, come get at me when that case is done, and came back on the next case.
Mhm.
I followed exactly what I thought I should do. Did I have a conflict? Absolutely not. Did I own any part of the property? Absolutely not. But did I think that the public could perceive that as a conflict? Absolutely. So that's why I stood away. And I'm sorry, but if you do not hold a higher standard, you can argue with me all you want. I'll bring it up at town meeting and we'll see where the people want to stand on it. If they believe me and think that what I'm bringing forth is what should be happening, or if they're going to believe the Board of Selectmen. And I've been down this road, unfortunately, with the Board of Selectmen before. And that was all the same thing. There was actions taken by the board that were hidden from the public at that time. That's what's bothering me so bad on this.
I don't think it was intentional. I think that,
I'm not saying it was,
You know,
Pat. I'm just saying
I-
the actions
I
that
get
were
it.
taken are
Right.
not in the public, and they need to be.
I get. what
If
you're
you
saying.
don't, you lose your public's trust. And once you lose your public trust, you're never going to get it back.
It was not intentional. It was not.
I'm not saying that, Chair.
No, I know that. And
No, I'm just bringing this to your attention. I watched that meeting, and if it's the perceived presumption of what the public feels, I know what I felt as a public member watching it. I perceived that there was a conflict there. Simple as that. And the sad part of it is the individual in that position does a great job. And it should not affect that individual one iota. That's the sad part. But it's the ethical standards that are perceived by the public that will kill you on that every time. And I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just here to bring it to your attention. If you've got an ethics policy, it better be enforced by this Board of Selectmen, especially when you're the enforcers. And you should be at the top of the standard with it. If it's perceived, if you have any presumption that the public could perceive you as having a conflict, it's very easy to step away. Just say, you know what, I'm going to leave the room. You other selectmen, as long as you have a quorum, carry on. When you're done, come get me. And guess what? It keeps your hands washed.
I have a thought process, and I don't know how to say it. So if I say something wrong, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. But that position, by law, if I understand, had to be offered to the deputy. The town clerk, tax collector had to be offered by law. So therefore, when we learned that she accepted it, we didn't have to have a vote on it. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't.
Yes, you do, because it's an elected position. You have to appoint someone in there. You as the governing body, you have to.
Right, I understand that, but what I'm
But you
saying
have
is,
to take a vote to appoint that person, because you could have appointed anybody. And
no,
here,
by law, we have to offer it.
what law is it? Can you quote the RSA for me?
I think the point is whatever you're saying is there still had to be a vote.
Right, I understand there's not a vote, but
I think I think part of the problem comes back to, and we had this with the former town clerk tax collector, okay? That this position is an elected position. It's the only one in town like this, right? And I personally feel, as a voter in town, I feel let the person, as the former person always had done in the past, if the legislative body votes to set that wage at X, let them have the debate at their business meeting, which is the town meeting. Let the legislative body set that rate. Why do you, as a board of selectmen, who have no authority over that position, it's been proven that you have no authority. You can't even set the hours in that position, okay? Why are you setting the rate for that, or entertaining setting the rate for that position when it's an elected position? Simple question. Why doesn't it go to the legislative body? You wash your hands, you keep it clean. You say, hey, legislative body, if you want to pay them $100,000, that's up to you. And you've washed your hands. But why is it the Board of Selectmen, who has no oversight on that position other than the bottom line budget? I guess I don't understand. It's a budget committee's budget that comes to the town meeting, correct? The only thing that the Board of Selectmen does is they, through their department heads, give a reference on what they think should be through their department head, what their departments need. You put the warrant articles together. That's what you present, is the warrant articles. But as far as the budget, it's controlled by the budget committee. We're under RSA 32. Simple as that. So I guess that's the only, like I said, I do not, I think if you're going to have an ethics policy and if you're not following it, why do we have it?
Is that a rhetorical question?
That is a rhetorical, and I'm going to leave on that note. And that's how I'm going to end it.
We can do better. Thank you for your input.
Well, I just think that, if you're going to have it, It should be enforced on everyone and you should lead the way. Simple as that. And if there's an appearance that there's a conflict, if a public comes in such as myself and sees a conflict, I don't think there should be an argument. There's 5 of you. As long as there's a quorum that can continue on with the meeting. Simple. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
I have a new business thing. If I can find it, oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
The island concerts. Been reaching out to Titus and haven't got anything definitive, haven't talked to him. Don't know the schedule for the concerts. I don't know for an absolute positive fact that he's going to be involved. Atkinson died, and then maybe the daughters want to help out. I imagine he will, but is he going to put together the band? How much extra money do we have to raise to make up for the shortfall from the town of Northfield? Last year, the food concession returned $1,000 to the concert series. I don't know what he might have in the bank right now, if anything. So we don't really know anything except that time is of the essence, and booking bands for the summer is a pretty much right now thing, especially if you want to go around 4th of July or Labor Day and stuff. So we need to proceed somehow. And when I mentioned this to Jeannie earlier, she said she was going to try to reach out to Titus or have Gail reach out to Titus, because Gail has a relationship with Titus. When he doesn't answer my phone calls, he answers Gail.
We're supposed to be having some type of a committee with Rich Roulette and Jane and there's another person in Samberton that wanted to be involved in it to raise money for concert, because this year is the 30th year and we wanted to go big this year.
Is this an official town-sponsored committee or a bunch of people getting together to come up with money?
To come up with money, yeah. We were talking with Titus last year. This is, we tried to come up with a resolution to the issue that he was having to try to continue the concerts.
Well, firstly, we need to talk with Titus
Right.
and see where he's at. And then depending on where he's at, we can take action from there if necessary.
If we put a deadline of, say, February 20th, the end of the month, and we haven't heard from Titus, I mean, you're right, this is the time of year to be making those plans.
Mm-hmm.
And now that leaves you 3 months.
No matter what, we have to get in touch with him because he's gonna know the bands and everything, because people are coming for those bands.
We could get other bands, but it's hard, and Titus has a relationship with
Right.
people.
Right.
They kind of block out, oh, I'm gonna play on the island, Annie and the Orphans,
Right.
Yeah.
just as a for instance. They always play the very final concert.
Well,
Only
there's a
Express.
Facebook page, you
Only
can go
Express.
back and look and see who's performed, contact those bands. And,
Well, if necessary, let's wait and see what happens when he's reached out to. Maybe we'll have some kind of update on that for next week as well.
or maybe reach out to the bands and say, hey, have you heard from
Yeah, we want to overstep him. He's probably got them already booked.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Titus
Right.
first, and then we
Yeah.
move on from there accordingly.
But I think that probably we shouldn't both be dabbling in it. And
Well, raising money, certainly, that's
one-
gotta be done.
right,
But as far as booking bands and stuff like that, let's give the guy who's done it for 30 years.
oh, yeah, no,
there shouldn't be too many people talking to, trying to get in touch
No.
with Titus. I mean, there should be just one person.
No.
I think you should try to,
So Jeannie has agreed to reach out or cause Gail to reach out and we'll come up with something and find out.
see where we go, because we do have a committee that's willing to reach out. Dick Willett, who used to be the president of Franklin Savings Bank, he's retired, that wanted to be in some type of a committee to raise funds. I think Gail knows him, and knock on some businesses' doors and try to get some fundraisers, sponsorships, more or less sponsorships. See if we can't get one big sponsorship and then some other little ones, brochures out there. We were actually starting to think about that before the meeting. Joe and I talked about it. So keep us in the loop. I'll get in touch with Dick. I think I got his number. I'm not sure, but I know where he lives.
Maybe John Cirillo can, he's got quite a network of people as well that are interested in Tilton and history and the island.
I know if I don't have his number, I know Kathleen Wozner does. And I know how to get in touch with her. If need be, I'll help. Definitely want to keep it going, particularly the 30th year.
Joe,
Motion to adjourn.
there a second? I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can we, may I have like, that's.
Sure.